Hi, this is Martin Drummond with Progressive Democratic Party Headquarters News. It's still Thursday, the 21st of February, 2019. And going to talk to you about healthcare again. I love these guys, love what they're doing, but they do drop the ball in some ways. And yet, nobody knows they're dropping the ball because they're the best that there is right now. So it's not like my opinion gets out there. So I'm going to tell you where they're wrong, okay?
Is she's negotiating against herself. She's negotiating against the beliefs of her own base. Over 80% of the Democratic base supports Medicare for all. In fact, that number's probably higher now. I'm going based off of an old poll when I say that. 70% of the country supports Medicare for all. So, if you're starting the negotiation like Obama did, by the way, where you're already conceding the world, well, then you're going to get no change at all. So, look at what Obama did. Obama's starting position in the debate was Amy Klobuchar's. Public option. So where do you go then from the public option? Where do you cave to? You know where you cave to? The Affordable Care Act. You go, okay, I want a public option. Oh shit, we're not getting the support for that, and I don't know how to fight for it because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So, okay, let's do your idea, the individual mandate system, which keeps the private health insurance companies in control of the system and keeps them screwing us. By the way, there are real death panels. It's the private insurance company. So my idea is let's have a captive market. Let's force people to buy in the private insurance market and maybe expand Medicaid, and that's it. We're done. Well, guess what? That's an idea which polls around 50% popularity, which isn't great. And then also the right wing continues to attack it time and time again, and now they have an easy target to beat up on because you didn't do the policy that you were supposed to do and that you were supposed to fight for, and the policy that's overwhelmingly popular and that would work. So you can't start by saying my position is for a half measure. Fuck no. No way. We need somebody who believes in Medicare for all, and not only believes in it, but also will fight for it tooth and nail. I need a Democratic president who's going to know how to twist arms. I need a Democratic president who's going to call politicians who aren't on board into their office, into the Oval Office, and say to them very simply, hey, listen, I'm the president. My approval rating is through the roof. You know, your approval rating is nothing because Congress has like a 19% approval rating. People don't like you, they love me. So here's what's going to happen. If you don't vote for my Medicare for All bill, I will personally go to your state, to your district, campaign against you, fund and prop up a primary challenge against you, and that primary challenger will win, and your entire political career is gonzo, bitch. So either support...
Okay. He's right about all that. I mean, how to fight in politics and how to get people out of office and all that kind of stuff. And everything he said there is true. But now, it's the system itself that he's not addressing. Okay? Excuse me, I can't get rid of this cough. Him and Mike Figueredo and Jimmy Dore and everybody, they're absolutely right on all this. What they don't seem to understand is, okay, when Republicans start talking about costs and stuff, right? Okay, the idea of Medicare for all means that rich people are going to get free health care, which they already get, right? Because they can afford these premiums, right? So they can afford the premiums, so they're getting, and not only that, but a lot of them qualify, the older ones qualify for Medicare Medicaid, Medicare. Anyway, they qualify. The same thing goes with Social Security. Now, I try to tell people that I have a unique perspective because I'm from a neocon family. So my dad, he owns this company, right? Before he gets old enough to get Social Security. So, as the owner of his company, which is a corporation, just so you know, he gives himself a salary. It's a high salary, right? It's the profits of the company. So it's whatever it is, 100,000 a year or 200,000 a year or whatever it is. And he gives his wife the same thing, even though she doesn't really do anything. She does a couple hours a week worth of work. But as the owner of the company, they both get this huge paycheck right up to the age of 60, right? Well, guess what? Because they're rich, because they have a company and they can give themselves a huge salary, their Social Security check is nearly $3,000 a month. Okay? You guys wonder why Social Security is, insolvent. It's because rich people are able to give themselves a salary of $3,000. I mean, a Social Security check of $3,000 a month. Okay, the reason I'm telling you this is not only to infuriate you, because you ought to be infuriated about the fact that you don't even know about this. The millions of people out there on the street don't understand. They don't know about this. I mean, can you imagine if everybody in the United States was aware of the fact that rich people have all kinds of screwy ways to suck all the taxes that everybody else pays in back into their pockets? $3,000 a month. Imagine if you could get $3,000 a month from your Social Security. Yeah, you wouldn't be worrying too much about your retirement, would you? You wouldn't be running around trying to figure out how to have an IRA or put money in the bank so that you have money later on. Can you imagine you're 30 years old, you're 40, you're 50 years old, and you're running around, instead of having a life, you're taking all your money and putting it in the bank. You're putting it in the institution that is your demise and letting them have it to play with, so that when you get your measly little Social Security check when you're older, you'll have some money. And do you? No, because something comes along like a health emergency or something, and all that money's gone. It's a big fucking scam. Big fucking scam. So I say, let rich people pay for their health insurance. Let them pay those, if they don't even have to join the public option. We're all working to make rich people join the public option so we can have their money as to support it. No, fuck that. We will have the taxpayers' money to support the public option. If rich people want to stay in the private sector, the private insurance, and pay, because imagine when everybody else bails out of the private sector, private health insurance. Imagine, if their if their monthly payments are high now, imagine how high they'll be. I mean, we need to fight this war. So we all go on to, this is how it would work. We all go on to the public option. We're all in the national health care system. 99.9% of us get it free. I mean, other than the fact that we pay taxes and maybe our taxes will go up a little bit. Not that it'll matter. The little bit that our taxes might go up will be nothing compared to the money that we get by having free health care. And the peace of mind, being able to go see a doctor. And we'll create a new healthcare system because they'll steal the old healthcare system for themselves, and then it will dwindle and die. So we'll have to create our own doctors, our own schools, our own medical establishment for the people. So basically we'll take the county health, these hospitals around where poor people go, where they're not turned away, and we'll turn them into massive institutions. You will be able to go and sit down and talk to somebody all morning if you want about your health. We will fund a healthcare system, obviously unless you're a nut. Okay, there's going to be nuts, okay? But if you've got a legitimate reason to sit down with a healthcare professional and discuss your healthcare and bring in experts and talk to them, because, let's face it, that's why everybody's sick, right? It's because you're sitting in a waiting room and some guy comes in and he just 5 minutes, he wants to know something. No, man, you should be able to sit around with a nurse or a healthcare professional, and you shouldn't get this bullshit flack every time you ask a question. Say you, like this morning, God, I was all night in the hospital with my mother, and she's suffering from blood clots. So since she started this thing that's been going on 2 years now, I've been trying to ask her doctors and the nurses and the people who answer the phones and stuff about a new medical procedure for removing blood clots. Because in the end, I'm going to find her, she's going to be passed out, I'm going to take her to the hospital. They're going to say, well, the only thing we can do is remove the blood clot, like the big one. And I'm going to be like, but chance for an old person like this of surviving that is only like 50%. And they're like, I know, it's kind of shitty, the procedure. And I'll be like, okay, but I've been on you from the beginning to find me a person who knows how to use the Megavac, which is a new procedure which has like a 90% survival rate, which removes the blood clot so efficiently and so well that it's 90% instead of 50%. Instead, that's how it should work, right? I should have gone in 2 years ago and I said to them, Megavac. Nothing. I've heard nothing for 2 years. Anytime I've tried to bring it up, this morning I try and bring it up, oh, well, that's not really an emergency room discussion. We're just going to give her some painkillers and some, they did the emergency stuff, but would have killed the guy, the doctor, to say to the girls, one of the 10 girls that was in and out of there, to say, you know what, I want you to find out what this Megavac thing is. Don't you think it would be smart of them to want to know about the latest, greatest blood clot removal? It's called a catheter. I don't like that name. That's what you use to pee into, but anyway, that's what they call it. Think about it. I can get on the internet. I said to him, you can get on the internet and check it. Okay, so that's going to be difficult because my computer starts to slow down when I got all this shit open. So I can get on the internet and look up Megavac. So I said to him that, and he was like, "Oh well, we don't get on YouTube and look stuff up here." Very condescending. And no, we don't. So you're telling me that we're in and this is the for-profit healthcare system. This is how they talk to you. I mean, there it is. There it is. Megavac. So all I want to know is where I would have to take her to get this done. When she's on her deathbed, or maybe it would be nice if we find out that this is what she needs to go ahead and get it done while she's still healthy. But these fucking doctors, man, and people wonder why I feel like I want to kill somebody. I was thrown in jail recently because on one of my shows I said, they make me feel like I want to kill them, like I want to blow them up. That's just a feeling I get when I think about things like this, how my doctors treat me, or my mother's doctors treat her. Come on, man. You're such a bunch of obnoxious fucking pricks. And you won't admit it to yourselves, and you won't admit it to the public. All we're trying to do is get you to do your jobs. Alright, so I'm sure that most of you understand what I'm talking about here. Now, what I want to tell you is, let me make sure that we're even recording here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still going. So, what I'm saying is we need to have the rich people, okay, if they want to opt into the public option, well, let them pay into the public option. You're talking about, how do we pay for it? Well, millions of people, regular people, poor people, pay into the private system. That's how it's so rich. That's how it has these massive profits, 16 billion, 20 billion a year, for Aetna or something like that. How do you think they get all that money? Just out of the pockets of people who, what they pay in all these massive, and it's the people caught in between, right? The poor people get on Obamacare. Somehow, somewhere or another, 30 million people don't get insured. So the actual medical establishment makes tons of money off of them, unless they just go belly up. So let the rich people pay. Now, if they would rather pay to be in the private sector, let them do that. And when the private sector fails, because only people who can afford to pay that huge amount, and what if the public option is cheaper and better? What if they are looking at, well, I can pay these private insurance companies this much, or I can pay a third of that or half of that or something to join the public option? Even though poor people don't have to pay anything to be in the public option, and middle class people pay very little probably, or maybe nothing. Maybe we'll have it so that you don't pay until you have $500,000 in the bank and make over $100,000 a year or something, or something. We'll let experts who look at those numbers and figure those things out. But don't you see what I'm saying? Number one, it's the moral thing to do, right? We should make rich people pay for their own health insurance, just because the public auction, because the national health care is a good thing to poor people, so they don't have to pay, so they're not bankrupted, etc. why does that mean that rich people should get their health care for free? You know, and for every dollar that you charge them, and how can they complain when they're for capitalism? You know, they can't say, well, you can't charge us now. So for every dollar that you charge them to be in the public option is a dollar that you won't have to tax them, so that they can say, oh, you're taxing me too much because, you know, whatever. See what I'm saying? So, yeah. Free healthcare, if your income is zero, if your income is $40,000-$50,000 a year, free healthcare. Maybe after $100,000 a year that you're making, and think about it. People who make $100,000 a year will be a lot richer than they are now, because they're not going to have to worry about all of a sudden having a huge doctor bill anymore. So making $100,000 a year will all of a sudden mean something again. Man, there's all kinds of ways that you can work within the capitalist system, developing the public system. You know, there's for sure we can come up with public banks and put these fucking bankers out of business. For sure. For sure we can work within the private sector to produce a fair system for distributing essential goods and services like food and water and all that. Because essentially what they're not telling you is that they're not protecting their capitalist system. Their protection of their capitalist system is simply by keeping people so busy and their attention off of the fact that they're being pickpocketed, that people aren't able to ever get involved with government or whatever it takes to fight for their own needs, right? Something to eat, a roof over their head. We don't have the time, you know, unless you're like me and you're near retirement and you're able to find a way to free up your time so you don't have to have a job or something like that. And what do I do with my free time that I've got since I quit my job? By the way, because I did that until I'm 60 and I get my little Social Security check, I'll get about $700 or $800 a month. Until I get there, yeah, I live on practically nothing. Practically nothing. What most of you would consider nothing. You would be like, there's no way I would live that way. But, you know what? You find a way. You find a way, and 99.9% find a way. And we shouldn't have to. I mean, people should be guaranteed a place to live, you know, some food, and some transportation, whether it's public transportation or some sort of car that you're provided with, and a minimum income. You know? I mean, I'm not saying that people who refuse to be a part of the system, who say, yeah, I want all that stuff, but I'm not willing to, say, if the government said, well, you know, there's a job running a little store over here, or working in an office, filling out, doing paperwork during the day or something. No hassles, no shitty bosses, no people screaming at you. You know, if you weren't willing to get up every day, 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, or maybe 6 hours a day for 3 days a week, I don't know, but whatever. If you weren't willing to do that, I'm for. I'm a conservative in that respect, you know. I think there's a logical, reasonable uh, that people can say, you gotta give to receive, kind of thing. Especially when you're young. I mean, when you get old and you're retiring, that's different. Like me. I mean, you don't know how quick your body starts to fall apart after 50. I mean, it is fucked up, man. I mean, my knees have both gone out, and I'm a healthy person. I jog 5 miles a day. Not right now, because it's freezing cold, so I do leg exercises inside, taekwondo actually, and it's actually harder than jogging. So, people do have to give to receive. They can't be leeches. But, and this whole segment is about leeches. But they're rich leeches, right? The thing I told you about the Social Security? Imagine if you could just look it up and look at all these rich people. So the more money you got, the bigger Social Security, because the more you put in, the more you get back out, right? So all these rich people sucking down massive amounts of Social Security while everybody else gets little tiny checks. You're going to tell me that the guy who retired with a job that only gave him $34,000 a year, and by the way, that's half of working people, or 1/3 of working. No, it's you can break down the entire workforce like this. Okay, out of the entire workforce, there's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. 1/3 has zero income. Now, this is a fact, because all you have to do is get on Wikipedia and look at how many people there are over 18, and then you can look up how many people are working over 18. And then you can look up how many people make how much money. And the fact is that out of the so 1/3 of the people don't have any job or any income out of the workforce. Out of the other 2/3, half of them make under $32,000 a year. So half of the workforce, the people who do have jobs, make under $32,000. Okay, and then that other half obviously goes from 32,000 up to I don't know what the what the highest paid job is. Really, I don't have a clue. So I know I've covered a lot of stuff, and you're probably like, oh, my head's about to explode, I don't get it, whatever. My main point is, why should they get it for free? Or, if they do want to join the public option, I mean, they've been screaming that they don't want a public option and what they mean is for us. Forever, right? So who says they even deserve to be able to participate in the public option? Maybe we should force them to stay with the private, because you have to understand this. I've said it twice now in this segment. When we leave the private sector, their public option's going to be their private sector's going to be all fucked up. They'll have a whole bunch of doctors that do nothing but sit on their asses all day waiting to take in money by seeing a couple of rich people who are left in their system. Their system is going to collapse. They're either going to reform their private sector to serve the rich. And, then those doctors will be running to the public auction saying, hey, I need a job. So that'll benefit us. But chances are the rich will simply say, hey, we need in on this public option that you got going now, because our private sector was always a scam. It's always been a scam. And I don't see why the people wouldn't turn around at that point, knowing all the things we know about about the capitalist system, and say, fuck you. You screwed us for ages, but at least what we could do is say, no, we'll let you into the public option, but you're going to pay the same stupid ass bullshit monthly payments. What are they called again? Anyway, whatever you call monthly payments for insurance, as you always paid. I'll bet you just making rich people pay those private sector insurance premiums, or whatever they are. I can't think of the name. I'll bet you that would halfway fund the the public option anyway. Alright, so this is Martin Drummond for Progressive Democratic Party Headquarters News. Again, it's Thursday, February 21st, 2019, 9:38 p.m. Just trying to get the word out, man. There's just so many things that y'all don't understand about how this capitalist system works. And I think that if we're going to make this stuff work, we need to be on top of all these things. You guys, I'm not going to work for you. I'm retiring. But for free, I'll give this kind of advice. And you need to take my advice. You need to take my advice and you need to run with it. I know y'all think you're incredibly smart. And you don't want to listen to anybody else, especially me. But aren't you going to feel stupid when you realize that you could have listened to me and you could have had things so much better? Because, yes, there's somebody smarter than you. I mean, imagine I called up the governor of California because I had a solution for him to the drought in California. I came up with this system that would make it rain and snow over California whenever they wanted to, ending the drought, ending the forest fires. And instead I get some bitch who answers the phone at his office and I say I want to talk to him because I've got a solution to the drought, and they're like, well, just send it to us. Oh yeah, sure. I'll just give away all my great ideas so you can take them and say you came up with them, which is what happens. People are so fucked up. So, you've got a guy who can solve the drought in California. I can make people live forever. I have a way of making people live forever in this world. You could be in 500 years living in this world. You and your children and your parents and everybody could be together in this world in 500 years, 5,000 years, 5 million years. Yeah, I know. It sounds crazy, but what if I can? What if I can do that? And I can. And I've known how to do it for years. I knew what the technological way to do it would be, which is out of the question right now. But then I figured out a poor man's option, and it works. It works. We could all live forever. Now, how we're going to do that with overpopulation, that's another thing. Okay. Again, with California, I came up with a solution to their forest fire problem that would also solve the energy crisis. Imagine that. I was like, oh my God, I know how to solve the fire problem, how to end these huge forest fires in California. And then I thought, you know what? It would also solve any energy crisis that we have. It would produce massive amounts of energy. So, I come up with these, and that's just one. I come up with ideas all the time. I come up with how to make a face shield for jogging in the freezing cold out of a 2-liter bottle of Coke. And it's just like take a pair of scissors, cut it this way, and put a rubber band on the back. As a matter of fact, you can just stick it on your face, kind of pull your head over it. And when you're jogging, your face doesn't get freezing cold. I mean, there's just a million things. And, I don't like to brag on myself, but you guys are missing out, man. You're fucking missing out. You're all worried. You think that you have these Elon Musks and everything, and yeah, great guys. They're all doing good things, and all that. But this capitalist system and the way it works. By the way, as long as we're here, this is one of my off my first album.
Started to get some video before the place closes. Where's Scott at? Scott, you looking guy out there. Can you make the train go around one time for me? For my video?
So, I used to go into this place. It's a hardware store. And I'd get a price from them. And then I'd go to Walmart. And Walmart would have it for a third of what he was selling it for. And I love these old stores, these little stores. And the people would come in and they'd all talk their Republican, conservative bullshit. But at least there was a place for people to get together and talk. I mean, if people get together and talk, I might sit down and they might learn about progressives and things like that. No matter how stupid they are to start out, right? So he's out of business, right, at this point. This is years ago.
Oh, yeah. Gonna be looking for...
He's bullshitting there, but... So it's a song about the American dream.
Nothing in this world is just exactly what it seems. Just playing games with life and taken to extremes. I spend my time standing by to see what's next, just to get high.
And by the way, that's not talking about getting high on pot. That's a statement about how just like excuse me, just like everybody else, I'm glued to the television when there's news. As a matter of fact, that's why I became a journalist. That's why I'm doing this right now, because I'm so, and I guess it's just natural, but it's definitely contrived. The capitalists definitely use the mainstream media not only to form people's opinions and make them think a certain way, but to distract them.
It's not that I don't care or that I don't see. I want the same old thing, same for me. I guess it's just that I can make it clear of some stupid thought that we all hear. I spend my time standing by to see what's next, just to get high. I know you really are some silly dream that links into my life with the same old scheme. Nothing in this world is just exactly what it seems. Just playing games with life, taken to extremes. I spend my life just wasting time, trying to see what's next, just to get high. I really care, but I don't see how I can.
I don't know if it's recording right now, but so I'm just basically having a last look around the old place. The No Names is the name of my band, and that's my original name. I know a lot of people have stolen it over the years. Getting a lot of lag here. Okay, so anyway, I just thought I'd let you hear one of my songs as I'm going out here. Thanks for watching, listening, what have you. Do 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 da 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 da. There we go. So I don't know if it got all that or not. We'll have to see.